Hi, everyone, and welcome to Rising Stories Podcast. I'm Corrine Sandifer, your host. Each week, I interview a business owner or an author, and we chat about what it takes to build a business or how they became published authors. We also discuss topics that we can all relate to, such as work-life balance, living with intention, and dreaming big. As these women share their stories with us, it's my hope that you will be encouraged to live out your own story. I have some great guests coming up in the next few weeks, so make sure you're connected with me on Instagram and on Twitter. I'm at Corrine Sandifer on both Instagram and Twitter. And don't forget to leave a comment on iTunes, as this helps others find the show. Tune in next week when my guest will be Anna LeBaron, who has written the newly released book, The Polygamist Daughter. She was on Rising Stories 28, episode 28, and I had to ask her back for my special Mother's Day show to talk about her tough upbringing and her relationship with her mother. This show touches on hope for estranged mother-daughter relationships and what restoration looks like when your relationship with your mom is not what you'd like it to be. Join me next week for this powerful conversation about hope and motherhood. Today, my guest on the show is Dr. Gabby Pulice. She is the author of Blissful Business, and Gabby is also a blogger, and she's a working actress who loves living with less. Gabby and I talk about how not to feel isolated when you are working your own business, and she has a great message to those of us with big dreams. Here is my conversation with Gabby. Hi, Gabby.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
So, you are Dr. Gabby Pulice. Did I say that right, or did I not say that right?
You did. Pulice.
Pulice. So it's Italian.
It is.
It's Pulice. Pulice. I'm sure I'm just botching it up, but it's a beautiful name, and I want to know what's your doctorate in?
My doctoral research is about women healers who are practicing different kinds of medicine from all over the world, from America, Asia, Africa, South America. And it's sort of the history of women healers, the sort of lineage, and the different kinds of practices that are on the fringe of mainstream medicine. So energy medicine, shamanic medicine, different approaches, Ayurvedic, things like that. And the program that I was studying, was a program in transformative learning. And we looked at just transformation across different disciplines, how people change, how organizations change, transformative leadership, how you incite change or motivate people to change. And so my work has been in holistic health and mind-body medicine for nearly 20 years. And in that field, I've had to help people make different kinds of life changes, get healthy, get fit, get happy, all that kind of stuff. And so, the last 10 years I've been teaching holistic health. And then a few years ago, I transitioned to supporting other healers to build their practice, to grow their business, to get out there and do the self-promotion and the writing and the speaking and stuff. Because after having taught so many students, so many trainings, so many classes, I saw really passionate, amazing, talented practitioners coming out into the world. But if they didn't have really good clarity about their ideas and their message and their marketing and things, they weren't getting traction and they were struggling. And that was frustrating for me because I wanted them to be successful. So I've been supporting and mentoring them to do that kind of work. And that's really fun. And I think that's how we connected around the sort of topic of writing.
Yeah. And so are you more, what do you call yourself? So when someone says in an elevator, you know how they say you got to have your elevator speech down, what do you tell them?
Currently, I'm a business coach for health and wellness entrepreneurs. That's my current focus. That's how I spend about 80% of my time. And then the other 20% of my time, I'm a professor of holistic health and mind-body medicine. And that's just a few classes every semester just to stay connected to the academic community. But my focus is really helping healers, and I use healers as an umbrella term for personal trainers, massage therapists, health coaches, wellness coaches, psychologists, like anybody who considers themselves to be a helper, or someone who wants to serve and help other people. I help healers create purposeful and profitable holistic businesses. So I think there's different approaches to business. One approach is that the bottom line is profit and money. And that's how a lot of industry was set up. And the other approach is that really the bottom line is about impact or positive influence or creating change. And it doesn't mean that it's not profitable. It just means that the way that you plan your business and the way you measure outcomes and, the way you create your strategies is different than if you're just trying to make as much money as you possibly can without consideration for environment or people or legacy or things like that. So I help people make money, and that comes in the form of seeing clients, creating workshops, retreats, writing books, podcasting, giving talks, all different kinds of manifestations and ways of getting out in the world.
Yeah, and you also have mastermind groups that you do. Do you do them? I saw that from your YouTube, some of your YouTube videos. So you're on YouTube all over, which is awesome. And so tell me, because I just recently, this is very interesting, because I just recently joined a mastermind group for what I do. Tell me for those that don't know, what is a mastermind group and how do you conduct your mastermind groups?
Yeah, it's interesting. I both lead a mastermind group and participate in one. So I'm very similar to you. I have my group that I facilitate, which is health and wellness entrepreneurs, and we have conversations every week on Zoom, which is like an online video conference platform. We get on there and we talk about the different goals that we have, like immediate goals that we have for our business. We talk about places where we're stuck or we're frustrated. We talk about how to do everything from organize our life and manage our time to how do we get more followers or more clients or things like that. The conversation is very rich and very fun. We laugh a lot and we find ways to connect with each other, collaborate, support each other. So that's the group that I facilitate, and that's the Women in Wellness Club. And then I also, like you, participate in a group, which is a group of 80 entrepreneurs who are not just health and wellness. There's about a half a dozen people in there in health and wellness, but they come from all different fields around social entrepreneurship. So everything that they're doing is to make the world a better place, make the environment better, all things around social entrepreneurship. And I participate in that so that I can get better skills and I can continue my learning and my growth so that I have more to offer to my community. Because I believe that at every stage, I have a PhD, but it doesn't matter. Like, there's still things for me to learn, no matter how many degrees that you get. There's always things that you can learn, and especially with how quickly technology is changing. You have to learn social media, and you have to learn online tools, and you have to learn, email marketing and all these different things. So I continue to engage in those groups as well so that I can stay on top of everything that's happening in online business, because primarily my business is online. I lead all of my groups online, and most of my clients find me online, and obviously the podcast and the blog and things are online. So only about once a month do I lead a workshop at a conference or a face-to-face event. Mostly my work is online.
And how do they find you? Is it just is there a certain school or some type of group that they find you? They just find you online?
Well, I have probably about 30 or 40,000 followers online right now across various platforms. So I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, all the different platforms, and I'm very active on them. So I'm consistently posting and sharing content and connecting with people in that way. I blog for several blogs like Huffington Post and Mind Body Green and Thrive Global, and different blogs that have a lot of traffic, millions of page views every month. And then I speak at very specific events. Like last year, I spoke at, 12 or 15 different events, like a big blogging conference called Blog Her. I spoke at that conference. There were several thousand people there. I pick different events where I can speak and share my message. And then obviously like the podcasting and the YouTube, that's going out to iTunes and YouTube Universe. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's lots and lots of channels to put content into the world. And when people find your content, often they want to have a conversation or they want to get involved in what you're doing. So it's a good way to get um, help people become familiar with what you offer and to make that initial connection.
Yeah. When you have groups like that, what do you think is the most prevalent as far as what do you have most? Is it massage therapists or holistic healers or who are who's the majority of the people that you work with?
It's actually pretty diverse. So right now in my community, there's about 50 women who are coming on the calls each month, and I have a woman who's a very, very successful energy healer that's been teaching her own kind of energy healing for more than a decade. I have a very popular hypnotherapist who does hypnotherapy for trauma and illness. I have a handful of health coaches that really focus on diet, weight loss, and gut health.
Mm-hmm.
I have two psychologists that are focused on emotional intelligence. I have a yoga teacher, an older woman. She's in her 70s. She's amazing. And she came to yoga and meditation later in life, and she teaches yoga to
Wow.
cancer patients.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's amazing. I
Yeah.
have another woman who does wellness coaching for women in recovery who have had addictions. So when I say it's really diverse, it's really diverse.
Yeah.
Um, but the unifying kind of bond that we all share is that we all share a holistic philosophy, meaning that we believe you have to take care of your mind, your body, your spirit. You have to eat well. You have to stay active. You have to have harmonious relationships. You have to be connected to the earth and nature. Like we all share kind of that holistic paradigm and that view of life. And we all care about collaboration more than we care about competition. So the women in my group, they'll do readings for each other. I have two psychics in my community, and the energy healers. Like people will do readings for each other. They'll buy from each other. They'll co-create events together. It's really a place where if you want to find community, which is different than a networking thing. Like a
Mm-hmm.
networking group is like I give you my business card, you give me your business card,
Right.
and maybe I refer to you and maybe you refer to me, which is not what I've created. I've created a place where it's more like a playground. Like when you see little kids go on the playground, they're like, let's go on the swings, let's go on the swings. And
And
they
they do it
jump on the
together.
swings together and they
Mm-hmm.
do it together. And grown-ups standing at a networking event like, here's my card, thank you. And here's my
Mm-hmm.
card, thank you. Like that's not playing on the swings together. And
No.
I want to play on the swings with people. And so that's the kind of space it is. It's like, let's play together. Let's see what we can do together
Mm-hmm.
because we're on a similar mission. We want to serve people. We want to create positive change. We want to help people heal.
Mm-hmm.
And so it creates a certain kind of dynamic that I think is really special and unique.
That is really interesting because I can see where, also this metaphor of being on the playground where one person is swinging and you're pushing.
Right.
Then you may switch. Then you're in the seat.
Right.
You're being pushed and launched as well. So, yeah, that's
Exactly.
awesome. Yeah. Now, how did you get started in holistic healing and all of the things that you are under your umbrella? What was it, something when you were in high school or college that you found this line of work, or just the interest?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, when I was a teenager, I wanted to be a singer, actor, dancer, Broadway celebrity, like
Mm-hmm.
performer. And I still perform. I'm in a play this week, actually. We're doing Vagina Monologues in Miami. It's like this amazing production. So I still do that on the side. But then when I was 20, my mom died. And when she died, I had a sort of spiritual experience where I could feel and sense energy. I could feel and sense her. I had this sort of awakening to like that there's something beyond the physical objects in our life that we think are so concrete. And I didn't know what that meant. I didn't understand what that experience was. And I went on a journey to find teachers and healers and um, different guides that could explain to me what my experience was about. And it turned out that I discovered for thousands of years, literally 10,000 years in other cultures. The doctors, the shamans, the teachers, the healers have understood that energetically everything is connected, and they use that energy to facilitate healing, and they use it to facilitate transformation. So I discovered sort of accidentally that my experience, while it was unusual to me, had been around for thousands of years, and that there was a whole science built around it. For example, in Chinese medicine, the whole basis of everything that you do in Chinese medicine is qi. It's moving qi. So if you're sick, it means your qi is stuck. And if if the discomfort is in your abdomen, then the qi is stuck in your abdomen. You need to move it around. You can do acupuncture, you can do qigong, you can do breathing. You find ways to move the qi, but they understood that the basic essence of life was this flow of energy, and it always needed to keep moving. So before I had my experience in my early 20s, I didn't know any of that. But then once I started looking in books and talking to teachers and healers, I discovered that actually there was like this whole world of holistic medicine, and it totally fascinated me. I couldn't get enough of it. So while I was studying my undergrad degree in psychology, I started to get involved in some massage therapy programs and energy trainings. I did my Reiki. I did a healing touch certification. I completed massage school. I went on to yoga training. I did a Kundalini yoga training, a Jivamukti yoga training. And then I decided really in my doctoral work, I wanted to focus on the research and the history of how all of these things have been around for so long. And yet, I don't know, if you walked up to the average American on the street and you were like, "Hey, do you know what energy medicine is, or qi?" Or it's almost been kind of erased from our understanding of health and well-being. So I really wanted to sort of understand all of that, and it's been almost 20 years. So it's I don't know, just it was a sort of accidental passion that I discovered.
I think it's coming around. I think that I just recently discovered acupuncture, and I love it. And of course, I've loved yoga for years, but I think it's coming around. And I think, what would you think? What are the three? If you came up to someone said, or someone came up to you and said, I want an intro to this holistic healing. What are three things that they can do that are like easy access and very popular, and they can find in any city?
Well, I mean, at the most basic level, drink clean water, eat clean food, and move your body. I mean, that's the most basic foundation of all medicine, regardless of holistic or not holistic or Eastern or Western. We're sitting so much that our lifestyle, like the sedentary lifestyle, has become the new smoking. Like, you don't need to smoke. All you need to do is sit all day. And then the food is so processed and so disgusting. Like the stuff you buy in most grocery stores, fast food, restaurant food, most of it is so disgusting and so toxic that if you were to eliminate that and just eat clean food and drink clean water, you'd be 90% of the way to feeling great on all levels, like physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And the closer you move to a plant-based diet, and the further away you move from processed foods and meats and stuff that really toxify the body, the better you feel. There's really, really simple ways to get back to basics, to feel fantastic. But we're very resistant. Like we're sort of conditioned into our food and our lifestyle. And you really have to surround yourself with people who are committed to healthy, eating and movement, and even just the way that we breathe. I mean, one of the first things that I learned when I started my yoga trainings was that I had stopped breathing. It was maybe 10 years had gone by, and I had only been doing this really superficial breath in my chest, and my body was really anxious and tense as a result. And when I finally learned what it was to really breathe again, I mean, that just something as simple as that really having an awareness of breath and being able to deepen the breath, it seems so simple, but your body runs on oxygen. Your brain runs on oxygen. If you don't have oxygen, you can't think clearly, you can't focus. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
one thing after another. So
I know that when, if any of my clients or my friends for that matter are stuck, they're something emotional distress has happened, something they're just not doing well. They're kind of like, oh, I'm about to have a breakdown or whatever. I always suggest go take a walk, get some fresh air. There's just something about that, just being outside, bundle up if it's cold and just take a walk among nature and just, step on the leaves and hear things and listen to the birds, and just being outside and just getting that fresh air just changes your perspective so much. I mean, just a simple thing.
And there's biological reasons for that. I mean, the movement improves your circulation, the mindfulness switches you to the parasympathetic nervous system. I mean, I could go on, but there's biological evidence that taking a walk outside it's like changes your whole chemistry.
Isn't that wild? And it's free. I mean, it's easy. I don't know why.
Exactly.
I think, and I'll just speak for myself, but I say Americans, but we've gotten to where we want to eat what we want to eat. And then when it's time to pay the piper and things are not great, we just want to pop a pill or, hey, doctor,
Correct.
You've got to fix me. And meanwhile, it's just so much better to, like you said, let's work with the body. And, like you said, the 3 simple things, drink clean water, eat clean food, and move.
Yeah.
So I love that. Well, tell me a little bit about yourself and your personal life. Like, do you have kids? Do you have dogs? Are you married, single? Do you have a partner?
No, I'm not married and I don't have kids. I live a sort of nomadic lifestyle. I've lived in about 10 different cities in the last 15 years. I like to move around and experience different cities and different cultures. I'm a huge fan of travel. I've traveled to 40 different countries. So my lifestyle is very free-spirited. And one of the reasons why I've cultivated a business that's 100% online is so that no matter where I am, I can do my work. So I can do my work from New York or Miami or LA or London or wherever I am. So that's how my lifestyle is. And every day looks different because every day I'm working with different clients. I'm having different conversations. I'm doing an interview like this or interviewing someone for my podcast or writing an article. Like before we were on the call, I was writing an article for a magazine. So every day is different. And it's all around content creation and coaching and teaching and having conversations. It's really, I feel as though there is not a clear line between my work and my life. They feel kind of the same. My life is my work is my life, because I don't feel like it's a burden. I feel like it's so joyful to do the stuff that I do that, I look forward to doing it every day. So, it feels like pleasure and work simultaneously.
Where have you stayed for longer, the longest? What city have you stayed in the longest?
Well, I grew up in Pennsylvania, so I was in Pennsylvania until my mom died. Well, I mean, I had left Pennsylvania before that. When I was 17, I'd moved to New York because I had pursued a career in modeling and acting and things like that. But then I went back to take care of my mom, and then when she passed, I haven't lived in a place for longer than 4 years in the last 20 years. So the longest time that I was in a place, I was in Los Angeles for 4 years, from 2005 to 2009. And that's where I was doing my yoga training and working in drug and alcohol treatment centers.
Mm-hmm. And the shortest amount of time, where have you just been like, oh, this is not for me? You don't have to say the city, but, or just...
No, I mean, I was bopping around Europe a lot between like 2011 and 2014. I was living in different cities in Europe, in Germany and in Tel Aviv and different places. I was dating a guy that was working for a consulting company that was moving him around a lot. So I was having a lot of adventures. in Europe. Um, yeah, on average, I stay in a city like 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you like that what does that bring to you when you are, like you said, I'm a free spirit, but what does that bring you when you say, okay, it's time to move? Like,
It's a calling. It's just a feel. It's the same kind of feeling I think you have when you're like, oh, I really want a piece of chocolate. It's just this feeling of like, oh, I really want to go there. Like I'll
mm-hmm.
meet someone from the place, or I'll attend a conference or a training or something from the place, and I'll just have this feeling like, oh, I'd really like to live here for a while and really go a little bit deeper into this culture or community or whatever it is. And I think most people don't have that luxury because they do have houses and mortgages and children, and so they can't do that. But I
Mm-hmm.
can because I live a very minimalist lifestyle and everything I own fits in my car. So one time I was in California and I left a job and I had been sending out resumes to universities and I got accepted to teach at a university in Philadelphia. And she said, "Can you start in 2 weeks?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay." So I put everything in my car and I drove from LA to Philadelphia and I started teaching 2 weeks later.
Wow.
Most people can't do that
No.
because they're too tied down. But
Yeah.
I had a lease and it was coming up and I just said, told my landlord I was leaving and then I left. So I think that's a unique lifestyle, but it's just natural for me. It's just the way that I live in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the freedom and I love meeting the people in different places and spending time in different places. I feel like it has given me a lot of really rewarding experiences.
Mm-hmm. I want you to back up though. I want to hear all
Okay.
about you can fit everything you own in the car. So
Yeah. Hmm.
like I get the whole clothes. I could probably do the clothes thing. But like,
Right.
do you take like your favorite lamp? Like,
I don't have any
do you
lamps.
take what else besides your clothing do you have?
All I own is clothes, some books, a laptop, a cell phone, some makeup, toiletries. That's all I own. So like
Wow.
the place where I'm renting now, it's my friend. She has a house and she has a back house behind her house and it was furnished. And I just came in with a suitcase. That's it. A suit with clothes and some books, laptop, purse, toiletries.
That's it.
I'm looking around right
No
now at
special
like
blanket or like special pillow.
no.
Nothing. Wow.
Not
And you just
really. No, I
adapt.
mean some jewelry,
Yeah.
some like a handful of things, like
Mm-hmm.
a handful of things. Yeah, no, I mean, over the years, it started out where when I would go somewhere, I'd have to rent a storage facility and I'd have to
Mm-hmm.
put everything in storage and that would be there for a couple of months or even longer. And then I'd have to go back and get it. And every time I would go back to the storage thing, I would think, if this stuff has been in storage for a year and I didn't need it, then why do I need it? Like why
Right.
would I pay to keep it in storage if I didn't use it for a year? Like if it's not essential to my life. So over the years, as I traveled more and more, I just anytime I would go to the next place, like if I had a box of books, I would just drop it off at the library and donate it to the library. If I had too many clothes that wouldn't fit in the one suitcase, then I'd take them to Goodwill. Because if you think about the stuff that you actually wear, I mean, I wear the same pair of jeans pretty much every day
Mm-hmm.
of my
Mm-hmm.
life. Like, there's a handful of things that feel really good on me, and the other ones are there for like special occasions. Like, I have to give a talk, or I have to go to a meeting, or perform or something. But those are like maybe once a year things, and I don't need very many of those. I have like maybe half a dozen pair of shoes. Like, I just try to keep it super, super simple so that I have the freedom to go where I want to go. Because otherwise, how are you going to take 50 pair of shoes with you to the next? It's just such a burden to carry that
Yeah.
kind of stuff,
So you're a
you know?
true minimalist. That is true minimalist right there.
I
That's
never thought, I mean, I wasn't trying to be trendy. I just didn't want
yeah.
to, I
You
just
just
didn't
didn't want to pay
want to
for the storage. Like I
storage.
wouldn't.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
that's a burden. Like I wouldn't. Yeah, totally. Oh
Yeah.
man. Well, I think we all need to kind of pare down a lot. Just as you were talking, I was like, yeah, there are a lot of things that I have that I mean, I don't, you know, I'm going through and redoing my office and I'm thinking, staring at a whole bunch of stack of stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why am I keeping all that? But there's like
Right.
files and things. It's like, you know, I do need to pare down. That's good advice on that. So, are you a reader? Do you like to read?
I obsessively read. I read a book a week usually.
A
I
book a
average like
week.
40, 50 books a year.
Whoa. So when you're saying
Yeah.
you drop a box of books off, you really do drop a box of
Well,
books
I
off
mean, I
because you like.
transitioned to Kindle like 3 years ago because like when I left California in 2009, I had to give away like 300 books and I was
Oh,
still taking a
wow.
few hundred books with me. I was accumulating so many books. I mean, you can imagine if you're buying like 40 books a year, like how
Mm-hmm.
many you accumulate, right? So after that last trip where I had to give away hundreds of books, I was like, once Kindle became so accessible, now I just Kindle because I don't want to deal with the physical books.
Yeah, yeah, that's so easy to do. Yeah, tell me what is there an app that you just love, either a business app or some type of app that you use on a daily basis?
I mean, I use Zoom every day to talk to my clients. That's probably my favorite.
Oh, I do
Um,
like Zoom. Yeah.
I love Zoom. I spend a lot of time on social media apps like Facebook and Instagram. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, and YouTube. I'm just looking at my phone to see what's on here. Podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
It's, the podcast app to
I
listen to
love my
my different
podcast app.
podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Do you find clients? Do you do any networking and finding clients on from LinkedIn?
oh yeah, I get many, many clients from LinkedIn.
That's great.
That's probably my
Mm-hmm.
number one lead generation tool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah. So we were just talking about books, and I forgot to ask you, what book are you reading now? What book are you currently reading?
Well, I just went to a conference and downloaded like a dozen books onto my Kindle after the conference because they were all recommended. Different ones were recommended. So I'm nearly finished with something called The Small Business Life Cycle because Charlie Gilkey, he was one of the presenters at the conference, and I liked him and I liked what he had to say.
Mm-hmm.
But I downloaded like a dozen books while I was there, like The Entrepreneur Roller Coaster, Essentialism. Um, I'm just like looking at my phone. The obstacle is the way. Just like book after book after book.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm currently writing another book. I had written a book. It's on Amazon. It's called Blissful Business: A Gorgeous Guide to Creating Your Dream Career in Health and Wellness. I had put that up at the beginning of 2016, and now I'm writing another. So, and then I just got an idea for another book, so I might write two more
Wow.
simultaneously. Um, I love writing. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if I could just get paid to write all day long, I would probably be really content because I
Mm-hmm.
really enjoy the process.
You are a true writer. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So, Gabby, what three things are you absolutely loving these days?
Well, I mean, I already mentioned this is not directly related to what we're talking about, but I'm in this Vagina Monologues performance and I'm over the moon excited and happy about it. We've been prepping for 6 weeks. We have the performance in 48 hours. There's 50 women in the cast. Like, it's just the most beautiful interpretation of the piece with singing and dancing and acting and just
Hmm.
everything. And one of the reasons that I love performance is because performance informs all the other things that I do. It helps me be more uninhibited, more confident, more outspoken, helps me connect better with people. And I love to laugh and tell stories. So I perform at something called The Moth. And that's a great way to practice storytelling. And storytelling is what really engages people in the work that you're doing. So I love anything and everything around memoir and live storytelling and things like that. So I love, love, love that kind of stuff. Um, and, we talked about the mastermind stuff a bit. I think both leading and participating in masterminds really has been critical for me to remain like accountable to my work and passionate and connected. And it's easy if you're a solopreneur like me, meaning I don't have any full-time employees, I work for myself. I have for a long time. It's easy to feel isolated or to feel like, kind of um, the black swan or something. If everybody else around you is doing the 9 to 5 or, chasing different goals, if you don't have your people that understand your lifestyle and your work and stuff, I think it can be really isolating. So I'm a big fan of that. And I'm a big fan of finding your tribe, finding your community, and, spending time with those people so that you can continue to feel supported and inspired and motivated.
Anything else? Is that it? Is that all your favorites?
Favorites. Yeah, I would say so. I would say that this is a really amazing time to start your own business. It's an amazing time to be an entrepreneur. It's an amazing time to be a woman. We're coming out in droves now. Women are starting businesses at a much faster rate than men, and it's almost twice now, I think, the rate of men. It's really interesting time to be, a creative entrepreneur and to be, expressing your ideas and pursuing your dreams. We now have more technology and more accessibility than we ever have. So I would just say, to any of your listeners, if you have a dream to write a book, if you have a dream to start a business, there has never been a better time ever to do it than now. I mean, this is such a great time to create something new in the world.
Yeah, that's so true. I'm in Nashville, and so it was just said that it was the #1 place for women entrepreneurs. So
cool.
Number 1 place. So maybe you'll be in Nashville sometime.
Maybe
maybe that'll be your next place.
You never know.
You
never know.
Well, thanks so much. I really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your life and your story and the things that you're passionate about. Thanks so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Of course, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Wow, what an amazing lady. Didn't you just love hearing about how she keeps her life light with things in order to live a life filled with adventures? I just love that, and I learned so much from Gabby today. If you missed something that you wanted to jot down from this episode, no worries, because all of the information from this show and all other shows will be on the show notes at CorrineSandefur.com. Please consider supporting Rising Stories podcast by purchasing books and products mentioned on this show with the link provided in the show notes. We are empowering each other as women to press on and to lean in and to keep rising. Thanks so much for listening. Keep rising in your own story.